Hi, IPDD.
Hello.
Please take the floor.
All right. Good afternoon, my fellow Toastmasters.
Hello.
Yes. Hi. So it's my turn. So you listen to me, all right? Leaders get people excited, like what's happening now. The roller coaster of the intermittent supply of electricity, or whatever you call it, in this virtual rectangular world, get us all excited. Have you heard of the line, or maybe you remember the line, "Your face sounds familiar"? This phrase is properly predicated because of the theory that your voice is your second face. Mind you, if you hear the line, "confidently beautiful with a heart," who comes to mind? Pia Wurtzbach. So by hearing the voice, then you will recall the name of the person who gave the line. So can anyone be a leader? Not just anyone. However, who has desire to lead, who is willing to make a commitment to being a leader, and who prepares themselves properly, can become a leader. Evaluators do step beyond and has the desire to be a leader of others. So let me begin evaluating our table topics master, Toastmaster Dutch, who's no longer around. I think she's busy. I saw her in her card earlier. She came very prepared with all the sharing of the screen that she was able to do. Is a great deal of a good leader who really prepares. Her sincerity as she gave her transition to every speaker gave more weight to the speaker's feedback when they were delivering their table topics. She even sang the song, "Gotta Believe in Magic," which I watched with Katniel, but they don't have channel 2 anymore. So it's all a cliffhanger for me. But she was there, very grounded, very connected, in spite of the fact that she was on the go and around. This is what's something beautiful about this world today. But we still can be leaders. But what I'd like to suggest to our fellow Toastmaster Dodge is, even if she's on the road, is to have a little more kick as she would give her liners, as she would speak. And I know a lady should be gentle and be nice and be calm. But if you give a little more kick, then we become more excited as we give our feedback on every table topic. What's wrong with myself? Allah. Okay. So that's one thing I'd like to give to our feedback, to our table topics master, Toastmaster Dutch. She's not around, but let's give her a big hand. Thank you for that one. Now, let me remind you, my fellow Toastmaster, what is the table topics all about? You may forget. Sometimes we get so, "Oh, I lost you. Where are you? Are you there?" Oh my. Oh.
We can hear you.
You can hear me, but I don't see you anymore. Anyway, hear me na lang, ha? Hear me na lang muna. Oh, I lost you. You lost me. Don't see me anymore, no?
We see you.
We can see you.
We see you.
Can see
Yeah,
you.
we see you.
I can't see you. See, I'm gone.
Also, IPDD Vanji, the meeting is recorded. So he can revisit the video that I'm going to upload in case he gets disconnected.
All right. So I'm losing everything here. My gosh, my word, my gosh. So where was I? So table topics, let me remind you that this is always a needed portion in every meeting. Without the Toastmasters, without table topics, you don't have a meeting. This is in honor of the tradition of the Toastmasters International, that everybody's given a chance to speak. So this is what the table topics is all about. So don't forget that no meeting, no Toastmasters meeting is a meeting without a table topics. So we go on. Now I'd like to call on the next evaluator. That'll be our evaluator for our first speaker. That would be Toastmaster Leah, right? Am I correct? Leah to...
I think it's going to be Toastmaster or AD Daniel for table topics.
Sorry?
For table topics evaluation po, it's Area Director Gorospe.
Okay, so I gave my evaluation already. O sige, carry on please. Wow, something's wrong with my Big Mac. Oh, sige, let me hear the evaluation of the evaluator for the table topics, please.
There.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, ACT. Thank you for having me here. It's always a pleasure to join the club. 2015-2016. Let me start off with the table topics evaluation. I heard that Dutch is no longer around. She did very well with her presentation. It's very a visual approach. I like it. I like PowerPoint. It's very millennial. Everybody is tuned in. Everybody's engaged. Everybody likes the trivia that she had. So those are the positive points that I found in Toastmaster Judge's handling of the table topics session. Something that I would like to recommend for her is to focus on just one speech pattern. For example, she mentioned SMG, story message gain. She also mentioned prep. And she also mentioned a 2-point form, which is advantage, disadvantage. But later on, she mentioned that to focus only on two patterns. I find some of the questions, there are 5 questions. Some of the questions are really patterned for prep and SMG. As I mentioned earlier, she could have focused on just one pattern so that every meeting you can have a different pattern and everybody exercises their skills on different speech patterns. For number 1, the first speaker is Neetu. The question is about what kind of advocacy would you like to have and why? The why question presupposes that the pattern will have to be a PREP or PrEP. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Neetu. I like your reply. It's very unusual. You mentioned about advocacy for speaking, speech therapy, Toastmasters, etc. I find it unusual because it's not the classic cookie cutter advocacy that we often hear on TV, in beauty pageants, among celebrities. It's unusual because it's a skill that people have to develop nowadays. I was listening to the speech of Toastmaster Ella, and I'm impressed because she wanted to bring Toastmasters to the world, not just as a benefit for us members, but even outside of Toastmasters. Something that I would challenge Toastmaster Neetu in her next speech performance is to slow down the pace. I find the pace very fast. There were some elements that I was not able to capture. That's the only one I have. Overall, it's a good speech. It's something unusual, just to summarize what I said earlier. Congratulations on that. On the second table topic speaker, that's Toastmaster Noel or OA. Do you believe in love at first sight? And why? You mentioned that you do not believe in love at first sight. Attraction at first sight is more possible. And you made use of the PREP pattern because, again, there's that why question. Something that I would challenge Toastmaster OA is, since it's a PREP pattern, you could have given an example, and more personal, the better. For example, you give your own example why you don't believe in love at first sight. Perhaps you had a love foible back in the day that discouraged you from believing in love at first sight. By giving that example, it is more authentic and it's more personal, it's more relatable, and it's more wonderful to hear because we get to hear your personal story. Thank you very much, Toastmaster OA. The third is Toastmaster Inah. Inah, I remember you from 2017. Wonderful speech, very inspiring. You got to the level of the division contest, and I was really impressed with your speech. And it's nice to hear that you're coming back to Toastmasters. It's unfortunate that you have to change your plans, life plans, and that was the content of your speech. You mentioned that you're now a stay-at-home mom, you're learning baking, and I remember that song. Your speech, your reply reminds me of a song. I do not know if people still remember this song. It's an old song, maybe in the 80s, sung by a lady. And I do not sing myself, so I'll just recall the lyrics. I've been to paradise, but I've never been to me. When I was listening to your speech, that song crossed my mind. So by the very fact that you were able to bring that in my memory, it means that you did very well with your response. Thank you very much for that. Something to work on. I find your voice very faint. I find your voice very faint. You could bring more power into it and put more vocal variety. Congratulations, Toastmaster Inah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Number 4 is Nasuha. I saw in the chat box that she left. She had some errand to do. She's a first-time table topic speaker, first-time visitor. And she replied to that question about what will you say in front of the mirror of Aries, and she mentioned about spending more time with her father. It's well organized. It's SMG. That's why I was wondering if this is just her first table topic stint, or this is already this is just our first meeting. There's that story about her dad, and there's this message about spending time with your loved ones and families, because you never know what will happen, right? Perhaps that was something that she was desperate about, because that's what the mirror of Aries is all about. Next and last but not the least table topic speaker, soon to be father Miro. I was impressed with his credentials that he will be a priest soon. Very impressive that you have somebody like father or soon to be father Miro in ACT. That shows a lot of diversity and flavor to the club. Something very positive about the speech of Toastmaster Miro is his reply. It has a good twist. Remember, the question is about what were you asked to do that you're not willing to, that was against your will. And he said, well, being a priest trainee, you have to do a lot of things that you do not like perhaps because of the inherent selfishness within us, and that's something that you need to break when you want to be obedient and to serve people. So I like the twist. I like also the very quotable quote that he mentioned, that obedience is a form of wisdom. Oh, good job, Toastmaster Miro. Congratulations to you, and looking forward that you will be the parish priest of somewhere in Laguna. Congratulations. Back to you, our general evaluator, Madam Evangeline Pascual.
Oh, I see you. Thank you for that, Daniel Gorospe, Toastmaster. You are, what was observed when you were giving your evaluation? You spoke with sincerity, coupled with gestures. You're saying something that will enabled audience to react. I was listening to you, vividly listening to you, because I like your voice variety. I like your eye contact. Your accuracy and faithfulness to the truth as you gave your feedback is very intense. And that's rarely given by evaluators, because it's not easy to do table topics evaluation. In fact, this is one of the hardest, because you have to put together all this feedback that you get from all the speakers. What I'd like to give you, what my little gift for you is this one, that you can probably also use to level up as you do your evaluation next time. But you're very good. That there are 3 kinds of spectators. You have a very good speaking voice. Your content is very precise. There's a call for order, and you affirm every speaker. And that's very, very good. You know, it's like acknowledging them, the greatness in them, and that's the greatest gift you could give every speaker. Now, there are 3 kinds of spectator. The number 1 is the auditory audience, who would just listen and turning off the video. They would just want to listen to the voice, whatever you're saying. There are those who are just passers-by. What's he saying? Oh, what did he just say again? So they return to the room, no? They return to the room because this guy is making a lot of sense. And then your captive audience. Kamiyon. We are your captive audience. We are very empathic. We empathize with you. We are passionate in listening to you because we are here to support each other. But there are those who are like really, they just come and go. So these are the three spectators that you should always keep in mind. Study your audience before you speak, which you did, and to be able to identify who they are, auditory audience, passers-by, and your captive audience. You were able to touch my heart. You were able to connect with me. I was able to connect with your evaluation. More specifically, when you evaluated Toastmaster Myro, when you specifically pointed out the vow of obedience that he is committed to do. And to you as an evaluator, the obedient you to be able to give a clear and factual evaluation is certainly a trait of a good leader who is more than willing to bear yourself and your vulnerability to the feedback, to the tabletop is given you by our speaker. So congratulations to you, Toastmaster, what's his name again? To our evaluator, and let's give him a big hand. Thank you
you very much, Toastmaster past AD, Evangeline Pascual.
So now we go to our evaluators for our prepared speech, and the first one would be our first speaker is Heather, and she will be evaluated by Toastmaster Leah. Is that correct? All right. Hi, Toastmaster Leah.
Hello po. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to deliver the evaluation of Toastmaster Heather for her icebreaker speech. Heather, I can relate with the thought of your speech because I myself did not have a one-track ambition in life. So when I was choosing a course for college, I was choosing among creative writing, advertising arts, dentistry, and accountancy. I went with accountancy and I studied at San Beda, so that's also one thing that we have in common. After that, I went into finance and is now trying to dabble into data science in order to create more sophisticated financial models. And also, I find that it's okay that I didn't have a one-track ambition in life because of the inspiration that I got from Karen Batong Bakal. She is the Executive General Manager of QBE Shared Services in the Philippines. And with Karen, she studied chemical engineering for 8 years and then went into research. And she found that it didn't really suit her because doing research is solitary work, whereas she likes being with people. And so she got a job in the customer service industry, and everything went well with her when she took that path. And she was featured as one of the most influential CEOs in Asia. And because you reminded me of Karen, Heather, I want to use the acronym or the mnemonic CEO for your speech. What I like about your speech is, one is for clarity. You enunciated each word perfectly. Second is the expression in your voice, because when you said whopping, I could feel your excitement. And you also did a mimicking of Sir Raul's voice about his comment on your pasta, and that was very much on point. And lastly, I like your organization. I find that you said something of your ambition in the past. You presented what you are doing now, which is a current student of accountancy at San Beda. And then you mentioned that later on in your life, you would want to be an entrepreneur. So there's a long form, past, present, and future structure that you use in your speech. What I may suggest in future speeches would be ACT. One is check your audio. There was feedback a while back because the mic of Sir Raul and your mic are both on. So there was feedback. So maybe you can situate yourself in a different room away from Sir Raul, just like what Phoebe and Jeff are doing. So they are staying in different rooms to avoid getting feedback. Second would be the conclusion. So I could surmise your message that at different points in your life, you had different ambitions. So maybe you can make that conclusion more apparent by putting it in your conclusion. And lastly would be the transition points. So I noted that you mentioned that you want to go into dancing, and then abruptly you mentioned that you want to take up culinary. So maybe put a transition line there, that because you are tired from dancing, you want to cook for yourself, so that your paragraph or your point on culinary may be eased in. Overall, Heather, I am proud of you for your very first speech. You did very well, and I believe that you have what it takes to go for the highest peak in terms of being an entrepreneur and become a CEO of your very own venture later on in life. And I'm glad that you started with Alabang Community Toastmasters and you are acting as early as today to achieve that dream. Back to you, Miss General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Leah. There's a little cliche that goes something like, one cannot achieve what one cannot communicate. And you were very specific and very detailed in giving your overall evaluation to Heather. An icebreaker for her, and a starter, a young Toastmaster as she is, needs all this kind of evaluation that you just gave, no? One thing beautiful about your manner of speaking is your opening statement. When you right away connected with the story or with the content of Heather's speech, that way you have made her feel comfortable and connected to you. And because sometimes when we are here to listen to our evaluators, we distance ourselves because we are afraid that we may have said the wrong things. But you connected right away with her by affirming that you went through the same situations. As you went along in the content of your evaluation, you gave acronyms that really supported your evaluation, that gave her a better impact, and she was able, I'm sure she was able to embrace better the value of evaluation and the content of her speech and how she could do better the next time. Many have forgotten the art of communication, but you're there, Leah, no? You're very precise, you're very young and very focused on what you really wanted to give as a feedback to our speaker, which is a gift that you have. What I'd like to suggest to you is, don't forget to breathe, smile a little bit, you're young, and take your time a little bit, because I want you to also talk to me. I would like you to also please talk to the rest of the members listening to you, because we also want to be connected to you. Of course, Heather is you're the one you have to focus on her, but we would like to be able to help you. So that's my point. Overall, you did very well. Again, I say it, one cannot achieve what one cannot communicate, and you did it all. So congratulations to you, and more power. Let's give her a big hand. So our next evaluator would be Neetu, or speaker Inah. Yeah, hi Neetu.
Hello, hi. Is Inah there? I can't see
I'm
Inah.
here.
Hello, Inah. Well, it was a pleasure. I mean, if I may start your evaluation now, and it's an honor to be evaluating you. I think this is just a preview of your movie, and the entire movie is just right now unfinished. And I think I'm so happy that you're back, because I love the baritone. I mean, I love the baritone of your voice. I think you are a natural crowd puller. When you speak, when you really try to express through your eyes, through your voice, I think it really engages the audience multifold. I was in awe of you. No wonder you are a champion, and thank God you actually demonstrated that by showing us your awards. And I'm sure there'll be more to follow in the future. And I must say that, like, you don't need to be embarrassed, because like they say, if you have earned something with so much of which holds so much of value, you are bound to flaunt it. And I think I'm glad you did flaunt the whole thing to us. It was very gripping, and I like the fact that you added a little bit of humor there when you mentioned about the outer space. I love the gestures that you were trying to emote your message through your language as well as through your hands and your gestures, which can be a very tricky concept, because sometimes your hands can be too much out there, which can negate your expressions and the depth of your message or the content of your actual story. But I think the way you used it was commendable. And you were smiling throughout the speech, which I think shows your confidence, because a person who is a good speaker will always flash his smile or like her smile in bits and pieces, which I think you did it beautifully. You were very articulate. I loved your choice of words and your metaphors. But let me now tell you something which can really take your speech to a top-notch level, which it is already. But if I may just add that you could, maybe ask some questions, from the audience, like, so what do you feel about it? I mean, are you happy to get me there? I am so excited about this. I mean, that can really make you engage the audience, a lot better as compared to you going on and on and on. Secondly, I like to point out that if you could, I mean, you were showing your intonation was right in place, but sometimes when we can just raise the voice when we are talking about certain keywords, let's say when you were talking about that, that I was mortified. So you could have just added a little bit of more exaggeration or little like dramatic, like I was mortified. Oh my God, but I'm so glad I did it. That way it can really maybe take your speech to a very professional front in case you're talking in front of 100,000 people, which I, inshallah, hope that you will be able to. But overall, that's pretty much it. And I'm glad I'm evaluating you, and all the very best, Inah. Take care. Thank you.
Oh, I like the energy, Toastmaster Neetu. Wow. You are very refreshing. You get up, your aura, your visual, your frame, perfect to a T. As they say, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And you did it, Toastmaster Neetu, right? So what I like about your manner of evaluating our speaker is you use the pattern TIA. You have tempered dramatization, you internalize what you said, and then you animated when you had to move your laptop, I think, on the other side, and started making those actions, are really very motivating tips or activities that an evaluator should be aware of doing, because this entices your speaker to really listen to you more. And that way, it's also going to be easier for you to express yourself, because as we move, as they say, actions speak louder than words, and you were doing that beautifully with grace and your conviction and your sincerity and clarity and brevity, the shortcut. You're giving it all bottom line. You're not going around the bush, which is really a very effective evaluation given today, no? What I'd like to suggest to you is somehow more, well, I don't blame you, because we're in this rectangular world. You stoop, and sometimes, like your face is too close to the screen. Maybe we like sit back a little bit. But overall, you did a good job, and you are very decisive with your feedback. I'd like to hear more of you the next time. So congratulations, and give her a big hand. Thank you.
Thank you so much.